This is from Elijah, last name
There
withheld.
must be something in the mail that says that letter time's at hand. And though I'd like to hear this letter... Continue down.
Sure. So,
Reading letters is so fine. Guys, I have to sing these songs to my son every night before he goes to bed. They're stuck in my head.
yeah. So, this letter is from Elijah, last name withheld,
Elijah Wood.
who writes, Dear Floppers, I've been listening through the back catalog recently and had the pleasure of hearing your Dr. Dolittle episode. In said episode, Elliot speculates as to whether the testimony of a stick insect would be acceptable in court, and wondered if the defense would be able to successfully impeach the animal's character. As a Flop listener who went to law school in England, I hope I can offer some clarity in response to this definitely serious legal inquiry. After a thorough look at the case law, I found that there's actually precedent for an animal's appearance, testimony in the space being accepted in English courts. And here there is a content warning for some misogyny and general dodginess. In 1677, a dog was brought to testify in a case of a woman accused of having sex with said dog. The dog, quote, owned her by wagging his tail and making motions as if it were to kiss her. Now, the poor woman's defense was that there was malice in the witnesses, the dog presumably included, but this attempt to impeach the character of the dog failed, and the woman was convicted. So in belated answer to Elliot's question, it seems, given the low threshold in this case, it is at least theoretically possible a stick insect's testimony could have been used to execute Michael Sheen and Dr. Dolittle. In real English legal history, the court system was much more professional by Victorian times, but also there were no talking animals in real history either. However, real English law is unlikely to make much appearance in movies. English law is notoriously poorly depicted in British media because of the overwhelming influence of Americanization on the non-lawyer British creatives who produce things. For example, British newspapers readily illustrate stories about court proceedings with stock photos of gavels, despite the fact that gavels have never been used in English and Welsh courts. The hilarious Law & Order UK just recycled US scripts without trying to make it fit the legal system. For a start, there's no plea bargaining across the pond. And
But
the Academy
do they
Award...
wear wigs in the show?
That would be awesome.
They got to wear wigs. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, come on.
And the Academy Award nominated In the Name of the Father, despite being based on a true story, decided to just import American court tropes, including showing a solicitor without higher court rights of audience arguing in place of a barrister. Translation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Translation. Wigless lawyer incorrectly shown in the position of a wigged lawyer. Thank you for the translation.
That was helpful.
This leads me to a question. What are the Floppers' favorite ridiculous courtroom antics in film to rival a stick insect taking the stand as a witness? Even if the law isn't accurate, there's nothing so much fun as a good kangaroo court on screen, especially if an actor is willing to embrace the large ham trope. Yours, Flop fully, Elijah, last name withheld. When I was thinking about this, I couldn't think of, unfortunately, a courtroom scene. I'm sure there are many that I have guffawed at with incredulousness, but I did think of Double Jeopardy, the movie that is based on such a huge misunderstanding of what the Double Jeopardy law would be, saying that since she was already framed for her husband's murder, she can now murder him, and the courts cannot
Untouchable,
prosecute.
Yeah. It's the perfect crime. All you have to
mean-
do is go to jail for it already.
I feel like my favorite courtroom movie probably doesn't hold up to actual legal rules, and that, of course, is My Cousin Vinny. I love it so much. I've seen it a million
Oh,
times.
no.
That's what I've always heard is that My Cousin Vinny is one of the more accurate courtroom
Wow.
movies.
Yes.
So it's
Yes,
not.
it is
it's
not
not
actually shown in
out
law
of
schools.
order. That's,
No, it is
that
not.
actually
Out
says
of,
it.
no, though the two Utes had some excellent legal representation. But
Oh,
that's
man, I
the
love it.
It wasn't until I saw My Cousin Vinny that I realized that you have to share your evidence with the opposing side.
Yeah.
Like they need that. There's the whole discovery process where you have to show them what you're going to argue with, because there's so many courtroom movies or TV shows where there's a surprise last minute witness who like brings in some new, and as a lawyer you're not
And it's
supposed to
always allowed.
It's always allowed, and it's bad lawyering for you because you don't know what they're going to say. Like, a lawyer is not as a lawyer, they tell you never ask a question you don't know the answer to, and you're not allowed to just bring something in and be like, oh yeah, the other side doesn't know this person exists, but we're going to bring them in. Like in a real trial, I assume they would like stop the trial to share that information, and then they would, because if the other thing was that my one experience on jury duty was seeing how long everything takes and how a trial can just stop for a week and then come back, and it was that it's so much of it is about the judge's schedule that like trials are not as speedy as the Constitution demands, but it wasn't until my cousin Vinny that I was like, oh, so you can't just drive up with a last minute witness and blow the other case out of the water.
Surprise witnesses, each more surprising than the last.
And it makes me and it makes me think of the non-witness version of that is in Miracle on 34th Street when they dump all that Santa Claus mail out, and I'm like, well, what is this supposed to prove? Nothing. Like this is dumb. And I think in the movie they're even like, well, that's not good. That's not good evidence. But I've never really been able to understand how the case works in that movie or how the judge comes to his decision.
I think that the great thing about that movie is it's pretty clear that the judge is looking for an excuse not to convict this guy because like of all the bad. Like the hate mail he's been getting and everything. Like he's just like, you know what? Sure,
guys,
he's Santa Claus.
I'm not super well versed in legal stuff, but is the courtroom scene in Ghostbusters 2 with the ghosts, is that realistic?
I mean, that's only realistic in that. I mean, the thing is, if a ghost is going to break up a courtroom to try to kill the judge who gave them the chair, there's a lot of. Usually, there are motions and paperwork that they have to go through before they can appear in that courtroom. Yeah. But you know, the Scolari brothers, they just do whatever they want. That's why they got the chair.
Yeah.
You know,
Harris Yulin gave him the chair.
I mean, actually, you know what? I don't think it's. He says I gave him the chair, but they're in New York State during that scene, right? I think capital punishment had been against the law in New York State for years. So unless I guess depending on how long Harris Yulin is playing a judge in that one, lawyers write in some with the history of capital punishment in New York State, or like capital punishment was against the law in the United States. It was declared. If I'm remembering right, I thought the Supreme Court declared it cruel and unusual at a certain point, and then it was brought back because our country got meaner over time. But I don't know. We'll have to see if that's actually true.
You know, look it up, Elliot. It's not on the Goofs page of Ghostbusters 2 that I can see.
Guys, I could be wrong, but it's possible we just discovered a new goof. The Flophouse may have made news in this Country Bears episode. News about Ghostbusters 2.
News you can use.
Okay, well, the second and final...
No, here's the other thing I want to say about Miracle on 34th Street. They should... So the trial is... They think he's insane because he declares himself Santa, and they're going to commit him, right? Yeah. I wish the movie had the guts to commit him to the insane asylum, and then an army of elves just breaks the walls down and is just fighting with guards as they break Santa Claus out. And as Santa Claus flies off, he goes, "Human law has no hold over elf law." And you know.
Yeah. And then he says, "You've tasted my generosity. Now taste my wrath."
Exactly. And he's just he drops a huge lump of coal on the insane asylum, killing dozens. Yeah, sure.
And all the cookies and milk that are in the break room have been devoured by a voracious Santa Claus.
Yeah, well, then it becomes the movie ends in a chilling dystopia where cookies and milk now have to be put out every night to satisfy the angry god who is Santa Claus. Yeah. It's like it becomes like Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, or like the It's a Good Life episode of The Twilight Zone, where it's just like. Santa's coming, kids. Have to put out the milk and cookies. Santa might come tonight. Don't take my children, Santa Claus.
We've been good all year.
We've been good all year. We swear.
Santa.
But I was good all year, Santa. I was good all year. Not good enough. You know, wishes him to the cornfield.
Which is kind of like the evil robot Santa from Futurama, right?
You know what?
Yeah,
I just pulled a Country Bear Muppets. You're right.
Too much
I shouldn't have done it.
like that.
I apologize, Futurama producers and writers.